Our first reading this morning is from James Baldwin. If one really wishes to know how justice is administered in a country, one does not question the policemen, the lawyers, the judges, or the protected members of the middle class. One goes to the unprotected, those precisely who need the law's protection the most, and listens to their testimony. Ask any Mexican, any Puerto Rican, any Black man, any poor person. Ask the wretched how they fare in the halls of justice, and then you will know not whether or not the country is just, but whether or not it has any love for justice or any concept of it. And from Maya Angelou. Now, if you listen closely, I'll tell you what I know. Storm clouds are gathering. The wind is going to blow. The human race is suffering, and I can hear the moan, because nobody, but nobody, can make it out here alone.
A few weeks ago, I shared with you the story about how my life was changed by advice delivered to me on the side of a disposable coffee cup. The cup that read, "Commitment will set you free." It was a moment of serendipity, the precise advice I needed at exactly the right time. Fortunately, I was able to pay attention and really hear the lesson in that news. In our Unitarian Universalist faith, we might notice such moments as reminders that revelation is never sealed and that wisdom is lurking in plain sight, arriving in unexpected ways. This week, as I prepared for this talk, Listening as Love and Justice, I made a cup of tea. It was herbal tea for relaxation, from a brand I often buy because I love the little reflections attached to each tea bag. You know what I'm talking about, right? Would you believe that on Thursday, my cup of tea gave me a message for this service? It said, and here's a picture too. It said, "The one who listens understands." And here's the picture of the tea tag. Honestly, I feel like I'm being trolled by the beverage industry, nudged by life to allow the magic of coincidence to playfully poke me into paying attention and listening to the world around me. I wonder if you have these curious experiences of serendipity too. If you do, I would love to hear your stories. You can share them with me. Send me an email or stop me in the office or stop me at social time. I'd love to build an archive of serendipity, a collection of small but significant moments that changed us. Parker Palmer wrote, "Before I can tell my life what I want to do with it, I must listen to my life telling me who I am." And we might read Parker's insight as an invitation to listen to life, listen to our bodies, listen to the stars and the seasons and our planet, listen deeply to each other and witness our humanity. Listen to learn and understand who we are. Listen to life with our whole beings and welcome revelation and wisdom into our lives, even if it feels a bit unusual or unsettling at the moment. And we know that listening is one of the most important gifts we have to offer ourselves and each other, especially as we bring the practice of deep, attentive listening to each other. David Osberger shares, being heard is so close to being loved that for the average person, they are almost indistinguishable. I pull this quote from one of the inspirations for this service, a book called The Little Book of Listening, Listening as a Radical Act of Love, Justice, Healing, and Transformation. It's written by a marvelous team of authors that include Sharon Browning, Donna Duffy, Fred Magondo, John Moore, Patricia Way. And I wonder if you have had this experience of feeling deeply listened to, held in a space of openness, curiosity, and care, held so powerfully in that moment that you felt loved too. In our distracted world, such moments do feel rare, and we chronically suffer as a nation with feelings of unlovability and loneliness. The American Psychiatric Association reported in January 2024 that 1/3 of us are feeling lonely post-pandemic, and that we are split about technology as a portal for connection. About half of us feel like technology offers just superficial connections. It seems as if we are collectively searching and seeking connection inside the cultural reality of being totally connected all the time and feeling incredibly separated. Indeed, the polarization of our nation reflects this. We are feeling so separate from one another. While digital spaces can be places of deep connection, if we're intentional about humanizing those spaces, nurturing them as portals for accessibility and relationality, they can be really successful. Over the years post-pandemic, I've heard that we need more relationality, more intention behind our digital spaces, offering opportunities to connect and be witnessed, reminding each other again and again, in person and online, that we are never, never alone. And this brings me back to the little book of big insights that inspired this talk. Its premise is that active, intentional listening is a path of connection, healing, restoration, and justice, and it can heal our lives and change the world. It's restorative. It's justice-seeking. Listening at its core is a revolutionary act of love and care. We can listen as a radical act of love, justice, healing, and transformation, but the fiery core is love. All things are mended and transformed by love. It is the most powerful force in the universe, a quantum power of infinite and unknowable potential without conditions or limitations. That is good news indeed. This meets our Unitarian Universalist values that hold love at the very center of our faith. Let us be reminded that love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. Perhaps one way we practice love is by listening deeply. Active listening. The kind of listening that is affirming, validating, curious, caring, open, non-judgmental, available to change, and willing to make space for silence. We practice listening as love and community when we open meetings with the chalice lighting and a check-in. We listen to our lives speak. When we welcome the practices of circles of trust or covenant groups that center listening as a core practice. When we hold curiosity and seek to understand rather than respond. When we pause and invite new voices, new friends to join our work. When we are able to gracefully give and receive feedback and frustration, knowing our connections are rooted in love. James Baldwin, in his wonderful quote this morning from our readings, makes explicit the necessity of listening to those impacted by systemic injustice, listening to equity-seeking people in order to understand the truths and realities of our world. Inside the matrix of interdependence, it matters that we center the experiences of equity-seeking people. Listening deeply is an act of justice and moving our commitment to justice into the world and into our relationships. Listening as love and justice challenges those of us with a great deal of privilege, people like me, to be transformed and changed as we listen beyond our own experience, listen to the testimony of people impacted by systemic injustice. Listening can lead us towards healing our world and healing our planet. And even as I say that, I know there's a whole talk there about listening to our earth and listening to our collective grief. But there is good news here. We have the opportunity to offer the gift of deep listening all the time. We can resist the urge to fix one another, withholding judgment, and allow more curiosity to arise. We can open our lives to the testimonies of those impacted by injustice and become agents of healing and change. Black liberation theologian, Reverend Dr. Cornel West, teaches us that justice is what love looks like in public. And our Unitarian Universalist faith calls us to love deeply, calls us to listen deeply. May it be so, and blessed be.